Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new camp build. So, this week on the Atomic Shop, we have this shiny new gate that you can sort of see in the back left there that I thought would be really fun to build a camp around. So, let's jump into this one. Okay, so this thing, I believe, is the Fallout First freebie for this month, and it's really quite cool. It's a nice kind of junky gate that's a little bit different, so it was fun to use. And we haven't used this communist bunker in a while, so I thought I'd incorporate that into the build as well. So, before we start looking at the map, here is our abandoned bunker camp. We are right down at the bottom of the map here, basically in the Savage Divide, but kind of close to the Ash Heap. There's Garahan Mining and the Hornwright Estate as well. And, yeah, this is a good spot, this road down here. I've built further along once, and I've been thinking about building down here again for a while. So, it's not a bad little spot, a little off the beaten path, but there's a couple of good spots along this road. Here's one of them, it's not too bad. We do get a few attacks here, unfortunately, but it's semi-flat, and it works well with kind of just trees and stuff. A lot of them won't bulldoze, but if you want something that's kind of just by the road, but works with the environment, it's quite a cool spot for that. So here is our communist bunker, and I've used this a couple of times in the past, but not in quite a long while, and I thought it'd be fun to sort of assume that was already here and then build up around it, so. We're going to need somewhere for our crafting benches, as the bunker is not huge on the inside. It'll make a nice little living space, but there's not a lot of room in there, so I'm going to put a couple of foundations on the side here. Line these up with that edge, which is kind of hard to eyeball, actually. Should get that about right. And then we can drop this front one on. Nearly there. Want it a little bit lower though, so I'm going to make some slight adjustments there. Unfortunately, I don't want it to be adjusted by the height of kind of one click on the foundation there. So I'm having to very, very carefully manually adjust this, and it's a little bit finicky. Freehanding it tends to jump about a bit, so got to be a bit careful. But we've got that in, looks alright. And now, because this is really quite a simple design, we're going to start walling it off. But we haven't done a build that focused on junk walls in a while, so yeah, kind of fun. I do like building a few junk walls. Nice, secure feeling place to live in the wasteland makes sense to me. Mostly, anyway. I'll get some of these junk fences in. I know technically they're the wrong way around and could therefore be pushed over, but yeah, we'll assume they sink into the ground a bit as well. But, so walling this set of foundations off is, I mean, things don't quite fit, plus the space we're working with is a little bit larger than a foundation anyway, so some improv is required, but it does come together for an interesting kind of scrappy, improvised vibe. Quite liked using that Nuka-Cola machine to plug this corner up with. I ended up actually replacing it with a ammo box, a Fallout First ammo box in the final build, but if you don't have that, or just prefer the Nuka-Cola machine, that works as well. So putting some of these fences in took a lot of faffing around. I did want to try and incorporate the trees into the walls, but they didn't really want to play ball, so we went round them in the end. So this is the new gutted car gate, and I really do quite like it. It's sort of 2/3 of a car there, 3/4 of a car on a railing, and it makes for a fun little thing. The actual entranceway is not much bigger than a door, really. But there's a whole unit and piece of junk fence that is a really, really cool addition. So I'm going to sort of build out from that. I've got that position where I want it beside the road here. See the trees being awkward again there, so we'll go around the outside of that. Get this encampment fence in. Because the whole thing's very rustic and kind of scrappy. The encampment fence doesn't look too out of place in this, which is cool. One thing that does go really well here is the communist fences, because they're quite tall and they have barbed wire on the top. So they kind of match up somewhat with this new gate as well. So that's quite cool to have as well. So, with that in, I've got the opportunity to use this larger junk fence that I don't use very often because I find it a bit awkward with floating and things, and it's actually worked out quite nicely in this camp, so quite pleased to be able to use that. Getting around this tree ended up being quite a pain in the neck because I really, as I say, I wanted to use it in the actual sort of junk wall, but it wasn't going to cooperate, so we went around the outside of it. Lots of minor adjustments to bits of chain link and stuff, but we get there in the end. There we go. Stuck up a couple of walls there. A couple of encampment fences, just make that a little bit more interesting. Looks good. put some extra textures on there just to make it a bit more solid. Stick some window boards on the bottom here. And we'll grab some of these responder signs and just stick them on the top section there. And mix them up a little bit. There's a few good options on here, and these things I do like to use on junk walls. They supposedly will go into houses and bunkers and whatever else as well, but they look a bit weird on the walls inside of buildings. But on the outside of junk walls, they actually look alright. They kind of blend in a bit better. Sort of rustic wood look works well there. There we go. Plug that up nicely. We'll move around the other side and just finish encircling this front area. I was going to have this guard post right up against the tree here again, but it sticks out a bit much and just doesn't sit very snugly. So, a bit of playing around with the chain link fence even. I was going to call it barbed wire then, but it's not. It's chain link, isn't it? And we'll carefully have that into place. Should, if I can get the right position. There we go. Now I'll smooth this up nice and close. Cover the road from this angle if we need to. And also kind of lead the wall around. I'm going to make some adjustments to the angle on this one, just because there's a couple of corners here, sort of where those two crossbars stick out a bit, that make for good points to attach to. I like the way that looks. Kind of sticks out nice from the wall there. Nice. Yeah, this spot does get attacked a little bit, so having some turrets and some guard posts and stuff so you can easily defend it is not such a bad thing. There's a random encounter spawn point on the road pretty close to here. So it's quite common to have to defend it when you load in. But not too bad on the whole, really. Looks about right. Should go a little bit further around here. I'm going to just drop this one in so that we're connecting to the back of these tyres rather than the front, so that it sticks outside the camp rather than sticks back into it. So we've got a bit more room on the inside there. Now just find... I think we can go with the encampment fence here to close it off with. Turns out, quite a nice fit. Pulled that quite nicely. So, with that all done, I think it's probably a good time to head off, decorate this place, and catch you in the tour in just a moment. With the sun setting and everything. So, a heap of decoration later. I say heap of decoration, though. You see how to take out a few bad guys there, red scorpion and stuff. This actually only used just over half the build budget. It's really quite a small camp, and really quite simple, really, in a lot of ways. Most of the work's done on the junk walls and the decorating, and came together quite nicely, so if you're not wanting to use a ton of glitches and stuff, this sort of thing works really quite well. I think it looks nice and organic, looks like it's been kind of thrown together from stuff that you've grabbed and dragged back, so the kind of look I like, and using that prefab at the back is quite nice as well. Nice little sort of recessed section there that works quite well. Like the fact that everything's got odd angles and stuff to it. A really nice, cool, organic vibe. Improvised look as well. A few brambles there as well, just to bring the environment back towards the walls a little bit. And the main place you load in when you fast travel here is going to be sort of behind the camp, because loading in on the northeast and my preferring my camps to face more or less south. So I decided to put a whole load of Vault Boy standees pointing around the outside towards the gate, because if you haven't seen this gate before, it might be hard to spot where the actual opening is, so at least if we kind of point you towards it, you might be able to figure it out. The punji boards will help, I think, a little bit there. It's not actually locked, so I figured I'd want something to deter enemies from just sort of opening the gate and running right through. Lots of little bits of detail on this junk wall. A few gaps in it here and there, but looks good. I like it. Nice and scrappy. The trees work quite well with it. There's one that did spawn back in the very middle of the sort of courtyard area there, but I had to put some... I used some fresh confetti, actually, to stop it coming back, and that works quite nicely. All in all, just create a nice little place nestled amongst the trees, so kind of happy with that. Let's head on inside. I have no idea what this Beware the Eater sign is referring to, but still, this is a very cool gate and I like it a lot. Let's head on through. You can see there's really quite a tiny gap, really. I've got a few bits and pieces out here. It's got a really nice kind of scrappy, thrown together vibe that I like out here. A junkyard fountain there with the tyres is from Hunt for the Treasure Hunter. It's one of the more rare rewards and it's definitely worth keeping an eye out for if you want to. I think it provides dirty water, which if there's no dirty water source near where you're building, it's really handy to have that thing. Little campfire in the middle there. That ukulele was decidedly not floating before I logged out and logged back in again. I think the repositioning of everything once the server spun up again has caused it to float a bit, which is annoying. Which does sometimes happen, but what can we do? A few little bits in there. There's one of the new cryo turrets from the current season. Decided to tuck that in as it's well, it's a nice little bit of defence, and as I say, enemy scent spawn just out front there, so good to have a little bit of extra cover from that. Quite effective, that turret. A decent view out here. Tree blocks it a little bit, but it's fine. There you go. Little power armor station and stand and set up here. Dropped the extra foundation in and nudged it in next to the guard posts there. Needed a bit of extra room in the end for my armor bench as well, so that went up here as well. So power armor stands off center. But yeah, I like the look of that. It's kind of neat and tidy. Has everything I needed to put up there anyway. Symptomatic tucked in the corner, sunk into the ground quite nicely in that corner actually, that wasn't too bad. Did have to flamethrower the wall a little bit. We'd have a few little fellas sitting out there by the campfire as well. Red Stag dressing station from the current season as well. Well worth picking up if you get the chance if you're going carnivore. And yeah, I think that's going to be featuring most builds going forward. A few extra little bits and pieces of decoration around this side as well. And our marketplace here. Gotta get that player vending on the go. And tucked behind the sign, we have my primary crafting area. So not that much room up here, but enough. Most of the workbenches up here. I didn't go crazy on the little bits of decoration, but there are a few bits and pieces around that look alright. Got plenty of room to move around and get access to things, and a few little bits of extra dressing on the junk fences there look good as well. That flatwood sign looks like it's sunk into the surface actually, which is odd, but hey, it's not gone invisible, so that's the main thing. It's not sunk all the way in. Yeah, kind of like this. Tucked around the side, out the way. It'll deal with most of the fumes, so not that that would be the end of the world in this bunker actually, given the vent on the top, but still. Quite happy with this one. As I say, really quite simple to throw this together, and just fenced off that front area and then just dressed it up with lots of decoration, and it looks really quite my cup of tea, I think. That one, I really do like this. So, inside the bunker, we have our living space. So when it first came out, this bunker was not ideal. It had a few shortcomings that Bethesda, to be fair, addressed fairly quickly, and it's pretty cool now. Actually quite small in here, though. I've got the bed in the middle there. Takes up a lot of room, that. I could have rotated it 90 degrees and had it against the wall, but then what would I do with a big empty space in the middle, I suppose? Nice cooking station in here. I figured this thing would warm the bunker through quite nicely and keep the place warm. Smoke seems like an issue, apart from the fact there's a big hole in the roof, so that'll work reasonably well as a chimney, especially with the shape of the dome there. Everything will just kind of move towards that and vent out. Which will let a lot of the warmth out, I suppose, but it's a massive minecart that's filled with burning material, so apart from the massive fuel consumption, it should actually warm the place quite nicely, if one were concerned about such things. We've got a load of stuff on display, a load of little bits and pieces around by the bed as well. Glass of water there. Used a couple of bits on the wall by the bed there that I don't use very often as well, so I'm happy about that. Not convinced I chose the right thing to put on this display case though. I used the bits and pieces of scorched, the jarred scorched pieces, and they're quite cool, but I think maybe something a little bit wider might have looked a little bit better there, rather than something kind of straight up and down like that. But I'm nitpicking now. Nice little seating area here that's reasonably comfortable. Couple of cool outfits on there as well. I really like those little Nuka-Cola lamps as well. Spinning ones that look pretty cool. So yeah, there we go. Very organic feeling, scrappy looking, reclaimed abandoned bunker camp. That new gutted car gate that I really do quite like. I think I'm going to have to make more use of that. I think it'll be appearing in pretty much any time I do a big junk fence. That's going to be my new favourite gate, I think, because it is rather cool. So I hope you folks did enjoy this one. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes for me. I very, very much appreciate it. Down below the video, as always, you'll find social media links, the merch store, channel memberships on that blue join button, and all those other good bits and pieces. If you're interested in supporting the channel that way, I hugely appreciate it. It really, really helps out. And if you get a chance to join us for live streams as well, we have, of course, Play Fallout 76, and having a really good time so far with Redfall as well. So I do hope you come and check that one out, as it's been good fun thus far. Looking forward to jumping back into that. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.